Okay, hello, my friends. This feels really weird because I have never gone live before, and it's going to be hard for me to look into the actual camera, so just now I'm going to be looking all over the place. But this is my very first live, and not going to lie, it's a little bit terrifying. So anyone who comes, shows up, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. If you're watching this on the replay, welcome. For those of you who haven't been following along on Instagram, so I have an Instagram account, Aimee_Esther, if you want to get like the day-to-day updates over there. That's where it is so hard to look in this camera. I'm just not going to do it. Okay. Anyway, that's where you get like my day-to-day updates, Instagram stories, posts, all that stuff. And usually where I ask questions if I do like a Q&A or something like that. Kind of more of an interactive place to be if you want to join me over there. So I have been talking to you guys over there so that you guys over here on YouTube might not know exactly why I'm doing this, but I get a lot of questions from you guys. So you guys send me a lot of Q&A questions, and they're usually questions that it takes me more than just a couple sentences to say what I want to say back to you. And I really want to be able to talk to all of you and give you as much information as I can. So that's why I decided to, instead of answering your questions over direct message and YouTube comments, I'm going to every other week, possibly every week. We'll see how this goes. Right now I'm planning on every other Wednesday, but who knows? Maybe it'll end up being every Wednesday, depending on how many questions we get each week. But I'm going to pop on here, answer all your questions so I can answer them fully and deeply how I want to and how you guys deserve to have them answered. And then you guys get your questions answered, and then I don't have to take time away from my day, from my family, and from, creating more content for you guys because I am spending so much time answering questions. So I feel like it's a win-win for everyone. So you can still ask me questions on any YouTube video, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram anytime, any day. I just make a list of them and I'll let you know. I'll just remind you if you send me a question. I'll just remind you that Wednesdays I will answer your question in full. I mean, unless it's like a yes or no, easy, quick question to answer, then I'll probably just write you back. But any that are kind of more in depth, I want to talk to you more about it, I'm going to do on these live streams. So I hope that this is working. If you can't hear me, someone let me know in the chat. But I have a thumbs up, so I'm going to assume that you guys can hear me. So anyways, I am also going to assume that you know who I am if you're here. If you don't know who I am, you can learn all about me. I talk about myself all the time on YouTube and on Instagram. You can learn all the things. But basically, I have a lot of chronic illnesses. And a lot of people, oh, good. She says, we can hear you. Thanks, girl. So happy. I think it says Anne. But anyway, thank you. And I'm so happy you're here. I'm going to be honest, this is kind of terrifying for me. I feel like it's like the day I put my first video out and I was just like anxiety and scared. Because now I can't take out the ums and the buts and the burps and the brain fog. Because you guys, in my YouTube videos, I chat a lot. Obviously, it's already been 4 minutes and I haven't even got to the first question because, I like to talk. So I always have to cut out me talking too much, and then I have to cut out me forgetting exactly what I was going to say. So there might be some brain fog in here, just so you guys know. Anyway, I think we got the intro in. This is our first one, so the intro will hopefully be shorter in the next ones. I don't know. We'll see. I like to talk. You guys know that, which is why we're doing this. So anyways, you guys can ask me a question anytime on Instagram or YouTube, and you can send a message here in the live chat if you have another question live that you want me to answer. So I'm just going to start with the questions that I have. So the first one says, hey, I've been kind of sick lately, and here's my list of symptoms: shaking, palpitations, chest pain, nausea, dizziness, lightheadedness, brain fog, headaches, and stumbling when walking. This happens mainly when I'm walking around/doing chores. Should I see a doctor? Okay, so this person asked me this question on a POTS video, and I can't remember which POTS video it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a video about POTS. And so I believe they were asking if I thought they had POTS. Now, first of all, disclaimer, you guys, I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose you with anything. I am just a woman who lives with chronic illness and shares my story and shares about my life and wants to help you guys. So just so you know, I cannot diagnose you, but if I could, I would, because it sounds to me like you probably have POTS. So the way to test for POTS is you are going to lay down. You can test it all by yourself. You don't even need to go to the doctor. You did ask if I should go to the doctor, which I'll tell you that in just a minute. But before you even go to a doctor, I would lay down, test your heart rate. My phone has a heart rate monitor. Yours might too. Like, it has just this thing, and I can go into one of my apps that came with the phone, and I can test my heart rate. You can also get a Fitbit. There's lots of ways. You can also just do it yourself, right, by feeling your pulse and whatnot. But you can test your heart rate laying down, and you want to lay down for, I would say, like an hour. Lay down for a good amount of time, or do it first thing in the morning. Test your heart rate, and then stand up, and every 20 to 30 seconds, test your heart rate again. If it increases more than 30 beats per minute, then that is considered the diagnosis for POTS. If you were at a doctor, that's how they would diagnose you, basically. So I would do that. See if your heart rate goes up a lot. If it does, I would just treat yourself for POTS, because I actually, literally, the video I posted yesterday was all about POTS treatment, natural POTS treatment that you can do without even going to a doctor. So honestly, I would just try it, just see if it works. That's actually how I figured out I had POTS, is I tested myself for it, and then I treated myself for it, and I felt better. And then I was like, whoa, I think this is what I have. And then I went to my doctor. So I did it a little bit backwards. You can definitely go to a doctor. I would highly recommend at some point going to a doctor, but I would test yourself first, because if you could go to a doctor and say, hey, I'm having all these symptoms. I learned about this thing called POTS. I tested myself for it by doing testing my heart rate when I stood up and when I laid down, and it went up this much. So I think I have this. Could you diagnose me with it? Do you know about it? I would even ask before you even go, like, do you know about POTS? Because it's kind of one of those things that some doctors don't know a ton about. So ask if they know about it, if they've had patients with it before. If they have, get yourself in there and see if you can get a diagnosis. And if you can get a diagnosis, you can know for sure. It just is kind of more of like this relief if you know. If a doctor tells you, like, yes, this is what you have, it's just kind of a relief, right? Because I've definitely been there where you don't know what's wrong with you. So anyway, point is, should you see a doctor? Yes, I would definitely see a doctor, but I would also just test yourself for it first, because it sounds like all of your symptoms sound very similar to POTS. If it's not POTS, it's something similar to POTS. Or just checking for POTS could lead you down the right road to get to your right diagnosis with whatever is going on. But anyway, I would guess POTS, but again, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose you. This is just my opinion and my advice. Okay, next question. Hi, Amy. Thanks so much for your videos. I'm currently waiting to see a doctor for my POTS symptoms. However, I'm 99% sure that I have it after wearing a heart rate monitor for a couple days. Anyway, I am incredibly fatigued every single day. I have to sleep at least an hour during the day in order to get through the day. I was wondering if you think this could be POTS related. I'm only 20 years old and I want to be able to stay out all day, but currently can't. What do you think? This is I got like 3 questions of people basically asking me, like, do I have POTS? And again, not a doctor. This is just my advice. But she said, do you think it could be POTS related that I have to sleep at least an hour a day? And I actually had a follow-up question with her, which was, is it the same time every day? Is it when you do certain activities? And what she told me was that it's when she does certain activities, like she goes out for a long time, she goes shopping, or she goes walking around campus at school or wherever she is. She does a lot, then she feels like she has to take a nap after. So from my experience as someone who lives with POTS, that definitely sounds like a POTS thing to me. Again, just like basically what I said on that last question, use all that information to test yourself, go see a doctor, blah, blah, blah. But I definitely would say that this is POTS related if you have POTS, because this happens to me all the time, especially when I didn't know I had POTS and I didn't know what to do and what not to do. If I like felt like I had to take a nap every day after every activity. And even now, like I get very exhausted and I also get tired and sleepy at the same time if I'm having a flare up. So I would say, yes, it could be POTS related and talk to your doctor about it. But I would treat yourself as if you have POTS and try not to walk too much. Go to my POTS treatment video. I have lots of videos about how to treat POTS, what I do for POTS. I also have a video about chores and POTS, like how I get daily chores done. So if you're struggling with things like that, I also have a video about how to go shopping, how to go to the zoo, how to go to museums and do those kind of activities with POTS. So go there. I won't repeat myself in all that because, you know, I'm already talking way too much because I always do. But I won't repeat myself because I have lots of videos on that topic. But go watch those videos and they should help you. Okay. Next question, how do you hold back your emotions when your loved one who's going through something like this minimizes your pain by saying they are going through worse? At first you shake it off. You think they are in pain and it's okay. But after being dismissed many times for your pain because theirs is bigger, you start to lose empathy and you feel alone. Okay, so my advice with this might not be what you want to hear. But you can't control what someone else does. You can't control what your husband or your spouse, I don't know who this was, they say it was, just someone that they love. You can't control when your loved one minimizes your pain. You can't control when someone else feels pain and you also feel pain. Like, for example, if my husband's had a hard day at work, sometimes it's hard for me because I did nothing and I feel like I had a hard day, right? Like I laid around all day and I feel so terrible and exhausted. And I like want to complain about my problems. And then he comes home after working all day and I'm like, I want to share with him how I'm feeling, but I don't want to make him feel bad, right? So what we've learned as being married is that we are the happiest, my husband and I, when we manage our own emotions and we manage our own happiness. So when I stopped trying to make him happy and he stopped trying to make me happy, and instead I made myself happy, he made himself happy, we became happier people and our marriage got better. Because sometimes I feel happier letting him vent to me and not telling him anything that's going on for me that day. If I had a bad day, sometimes that makes me happy to let him vent to me, if that makes sense. Sometimes it makes me happy to vent to him, even if he had a bad day, if that makes sense. So what we found as a married couple is just you can only control your emotions. And sometimes he had a bad day. I also had a bad day. I vent to him and it makes him feel like I'm minimizing his pain or he's minimizing my pain. And that does happen. But we've decided not to make it a big deal. It's just, we are going to manage our own emotions. I can't decide how he feels. I can't decide what he says. I can't decide anything for him. He gets to decide that. You can only control you. If you need help controlling your emotions, I actually have a program that I created literally about this. Basically, it's called Chronically Me. It's basically a program, and I'll talk more about it at the end, not to like pitch you something, but I just want you to know that I can teach you how to do this, but it's so much information that I've put it all in a program because I can't just make a video about it because there's a lot of information, a lot you need to do, but I do teach you in that program how to manage your own emotions when you feel physical pain. Basically, the program is about it teaches you that pain isn't a problem and how to live with pain. Anyways, talking a lot with my hands. Okay, so I'm sorry that you're going through that, but all I can tell you is you can manage your own emotions. You can't manage his or hers. I think I'm assuming this is a girl talking about her husband because I'm a girl who has a husband, but it could be vice versa. It could be a girl talking about a girl. I don't know. who you are. I can't even remember who asked this question, but whoever it is, that's your loved one, you can't manage their emotions. You can only manage your own. Okay, next question. Hey, I have a question. Can you post a video about how to deal with period pains while dealing with chronic illness and pain? I'm asking so I have could be better able to cope, so I could be able to cope in a better way. Okay, so this friend asked me this question and I told her, of course, I will add that to my list of videos, but I have such a big list of videos, I don't know when exactly I'll get to it. And so I wanted to answer it here as well. So I will make a full video about this because I have had a lot of experience with extremely painful periods, you guys. Very, very painful. I am usually like writhing in pain, curled up in a ball. In fact, I lived in China once, didn't speak any Chinese. I was teaching English in China and no one around me spoke English. I was curled up in a ball in pain from a period, and the Chinese people, who again, we couldn't communicate, they thought I was dying and they tried to take me to the hospital because I was in so much pain. And it's really hard to tell someone in America that you are just having a period and it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. But when you are in a different country and you don't speak the same language and they see you curled up in a ball on a Chinese floor and they wonder why you're not in the hospital, basically. Anyway, point is, I have very, very severe periods. Now I'm currently pregnant, so haven't had one in a while, which is lovely. But I've definitely had experience with this. So my first thing that this is my go-to is heat. It's like the only thing that would help me, really. I would get in a bath hot enough. I probably shouldn't share this as, again, not medical advice. This is just what I do. But my skin would be like bright red after my period baths because I would have the water so dang hot, or I would just take a really hot shower and have the water like hit my belly, uterus area, as hot as possible. So heat was like the one thing that minimized the pain for me. And then heating pads when I'm not in the bath or shower. And I'm not a big bath person. You guys know I get sick when I get in the heat, but I would much rather get my POTS symptoms worse and be able to minimize the pain for my periods for a couple days while I'm trying to heal from my period. So that's honestly the only thing that I personally have found that helps. I don't do well with medications. I think I've talked to you guys about this a little bit, but I get very, very sick with pain medications. Ibuprofen and a tiny bit of Tylenol is about all I can take. So I have a really hard time when I'm pregnant because too much Tylenol, like more than maybe like half a normal dose, I'm okay with, but a normal dose I get really sick. So like migraine stuff, I really suffer when I'm pregnant because I can't really take much. Ibuprofen I can do. Anything else, I'm seriously feel worse than if I had the pain because the medicine makes me so bad. So if you can take pain meds, I would highly suggest talking to your doctor about taking pain meds. Let's see, what else? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Brain fog moment, as I always do. We were talking about periods. Oh, you can also talk to your doctor about options. My doctor tried to put me on birth control. We tried like all these different pills and they all made me worse. Birth control makes my periods a lot worse and they're already just the worst periods ever. And so that didn't work for me, but if you do okay with birth control, that can help. There's other medications doctors can give you to help. One medication that I did try that actually helped me was muscle relaxers. That did help my periods a little bit. So that's something that you could talk to your doctor about. I had to get that a prescription, I believe. So I did that quite a long time ago. Now I usually try to stay away from most meds, but if my periods are bad enough, I will take a muscle relaxer. And the last thing that I would do is just remind yourself that it's temporary. You will get through this. It's once a month or once, however many periods you have a year. it's not something that lasts forever. So that's something that I constantly remind myself, because for me, the first day is the worst. Second day is a little bit better. Third day is a little bit better. And then after that, I'm like pretty good. But for me, the first 3 days, I really can't do anything. So I just have to remind myself, I got to get through these 3 days and then I'll be okay. And I'm writhing in pain and it's not exciting. It's not fun, but it is temporary. And the other thing to remind yourself is that you know what it is, right? Like sometimes, like I remember when I got my first kidney stone, that was terrifying because I didn't know what it was. I thought I was dying. At least you know what it is. You know it will pass. Okay, that's my period advice. I will make a whole video about that. And I do have a lot of Q&As. I'm seeing you guys in the live chat. I wanted to answer the ones I have here. You know what? Let's take a live chat. That'll be fun. Okay, so... Okay, there's a lot. I'm going to take just a quick one in the live chat, and then I'm going to come back to my original questions, and then I'll get all of your questions in the live chat eventually. Okay, how are you feeling about COVID-19 while living with chronic illness? Sierra Young says. Okay, so I have had this question a lot. And hi, Sierra. Welcome. Honestly, you guys are not going to probably like this answer, but I'm not really afraid of it. Because I personally don't have any, I have a lot of chronic illnesses, you guys. I just posted on Instagram yesterday the list, and like so many people were like, are you serious? You have all of these things? Yeah, I really do. But I actually don't have anything that is scary with COVID-19. So I don't have any lung issues. My lungs, I have shortness of breath. As you can tell, I'm like dying of breath right now. But besides having shortness of breath, I don't have any issues with my lungs. I mean, I get like allergies and stuff, but nothing that COVID-19 is, like, I'm not going to die from COVID-19 if I get it. To me, I think of how you are when you get a cold or the flu. That's probably how you will be with COVID-19. So, for example, when I get a cold or flu, my POTS symptoms get worse. I get more fatigue. My fibromyalgia kind of acts up a little bit. So I would say like I have flare-ups and I get more fatigued than maybe most people. I get more body aches than most people. But my respiratory symptoms aren't any worse than other people. In fact, my husband gets way worse respiratory symptoms than I do usually if we both get colds or the flu. So I don't have anything that won't be manageable, basically. Like, I'm not worried, and I am pregnant too, but I'm not worried about even having to go to the hospital for it because I just don't have chronic illnesses that deal with respiratory, or I don't have a weakened immune system. So like people who are on immunosuppressants, you need to be a lot more careful. Right? If you're on immunosuppressants for an autoimmune disease or whatever, you need to be a lot more careful. I personally am not, and so I'm not worried about it. For me personally, like I said, remember how I said I got to cut out the burps? Well, I just burped. There you go, you guys. Anyway, so I keep myself safe. I keep my family safe because, you know, we have grandparents and loved ones. I have an aunt with cancer. You know, I have people around me that I want to keep safe. So I, you know, follow all the safety laws that are given, but I'm not in constant fear at all. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Okay, we're going to go back to my question list here. Whoop, I just hit my microphone. Sorry, guys. Okay. Are you still on daily pain during pregnancy? I'm concerned if the chronic pain would do harm to the developing fetus. How can you deal with daily pain without meds apart from diet? Okay, so I am not on any pain medications. Like I said, I do not do good with pain meds. In fact, I don't do good with any medications, to be honest. Like, if there's a side effect, I promise you, I will get it. And it's not worth it. And I always just feel way worse if I take a medication. It helps one thing and it hurts something else. And so to me, it's not worth it to take medications. So when I got pregnant, I was not on any medications. I was the very first time I got pregnant. So my first miscarriage I was on Lyrica, I think it's called, for fibromyalgia. And I miscarried that baby, and I think that kind of scared me into like, I'm not going to be on any meds when I'm pregnant. I don't know if that caused my miscarriage or not. I've had a lot, so honestly, who knows what caused them, but I have not been on any pain medications. So I'm concerned that with chronic pain, my chronic pain would do harm to the baby, is what she said. So it depends on what your pain is. You having pain doesn't necessarily mean that your child is in danger. Okay, so like me having SIBO pain, stomach pain, doesn't hurt my child because they have their own digestive system. As long as my nutrients are being taken from my digestive system to the baby, it doesn't harm them. Pain, I have muscle pain from POTS and Hashimoto's disease. So my muscles hurt pretty bad. I have really bad achy muscles. That doesn't affect the baby, that just affects me. Okay, so like with my chronic illnesses, and I talked to my doctors, I talked to many different doctors before I got pregnant, making sure that I'm good to go. But none of the chronic illnesses I have affect the baby directly. Things that might affect the baby is if I'm having severe stomach pain and it makes me not eat as much, or I can't stomach my prenatal vitamin, or things like that could affect the baby. Or if I get dizzy and pass out, that could affect the baby because I could fall and harm the baby, right? So having pain doesn't necessarily mean the baby's in danger. In fact, I'd say most of the time they're not. My doctor told me that most of the time people with chronic illnesses don't really need to worry too much about it because the baby has their own system. Like my blood pressure gets low, my blood sugar gets all weird, and my blood, the other one, heart rate. My heart rate gets really high. My baby has its own heart rate, its own blood supply system. And so my heart rate getting high doesn't actually affect the baby unless I, pass out or something like that, if that makes sense. So I can't tell you because I don't know what your chronic pain is, and I'm not a doctor, but I would highly suggest talking to your doctor about what pain you deal with. If it's things like fibromyalgia, those types of things, you're probably totally fine. It's just managing yourself. It's obnoxious for you, but it's not hurting the baby. Next question is perfect segue, so I'm going to answer real fast. How do you manage SIBO while pregnant? Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about SIBO already. So SIBO doesn't affect the baby. I've talked to my doctor about it. I talked to my GI doctor, or my OB about it. I talked to my GI doctor about it. And they both told me that the SIBO doesn't affect the baby as long as my vitamins and minerals are being transferred through my blood, right? But managing it is managing my symptoms, making me feel better. And you guys, I'm not a very good example of this when I'm pregnant because honestly, I just kind of deal with it. I have a really hard time eating on a diet when I'm pregnant because I can't stomach a lot of things when I'm pregnant. So I stayed AIP through the first trimester, and I'm not gonna lie, it was miserable. I loved AIP before I got pregnant, and then I got pregnant and literally everything I could eat grossed me out. But I did it for, 2 months? And I made it through the first little bit of pregnancy. And after that, I did just gluten-free for a while, and now I've just given up, to be honest. So something to note about SIBO is that usually, I would say like 80% of the people with SIBO who I've talked to say this, that it gets better the bigger you get. So like right now I'm 26 weeks, I feel like I'm ginormous, and my SIBO is still there, but it's way better than it was a few months ago. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I remember like the last month of pregnancy, I could eat anything I wanted and I hardly felt any SIBO symptoms. So for me, managing SIBO while pregnant is I just deal with the pain and I eat what I can manage, what doesn't gross me out basically. And then I just deal with the stomach pain and the bloating and all of that. But the bigger I get, the less obnoxious it becomes. Like I'm so big right now that like I don't even get bloated because I'm already too ginormous. So the longer you could be pregnant, the better it gets. I will say, though, it did come right back. As soon as I had my baby, next day, I felt all the SIBO stuff again. But when I was ginormous, week before I gave birth, I felt amazing, and I could eat whatever I wanted. I shouldn't say that. I tried to eat healthy. Anyway, okay. Wow, we got lots of questions here in the live Q&A. I have one more question. Okay, I have one more question to do here in my already asked questions. I'm gonna do that one real quick because y'all, my brain gets all mixed up if I'm trying to do 12 things at once. So I'm sorry if you guys have been here the whole time. I will answer your questions, I promise. Okay. Hello, I do not expect a reply, but if you have the time, I would really appreciate it. I have so many POTS symptoms such as weakness, fatigue, concentration issues, IBS, brain fog, purple cold feet, heat sensitivity, palpitations. Oh, another burp. You guys, SIBO. It's my life, and I'm pregnant, so you know what? Don't judge me. Etc. And I get very dizzy and faint and lose vision when I stand or crouch or bend over. However, my doctors won't diagnose me because I only have an increase of 27 BPM when standing. I'm finding daily life harder and harder, and I feel I'm not being taken seriously. What is your opinion? I'm convinced I have EDS and have all the symptoms associated with it, and they're obviously closely linked. Oh, there it goes again. My mom has fibromyalgia. Thank you. Okay, my friend. So we've actually kind of already talked about this. I don't know why. Everyone wants to know if they have POTS. That's been like the theme of this Q&A is, do I have POTS? So first of all of your symptoms sound like you have POTS. You know, again, not a doctor, but sounds like POTS. I think it's really weird that they said because you only have a 27 BPM increase when the protocol is like 30. That seems super close to 30. You would think they'd retest you a few times. I don't know. That's just me. Again, not a doctor, but that's what I would do if I was a doctor. If it was that close to 30, I would definitely retest it. I would test myself if I were you. Keep a log of your heart rate. Keep a log of your heart rate someone just said I have POTS. Just saying hello. Hello, my friend, Allie. Anyway. Okay, I can't look at the live chat because I get lost. Okay. Okay, so I would test yourself randomly throughout the day, throughout the week. Test your heart rate and just see, keep a log of it and then take it to your doctor and be like, this is my log that I've taken at home. If you don't believe me, I will find another doctor. I definitely understand what it's like to feel like you're not being taken seriously. Before I got my POTS diagnosis, I went to countless numbers of doctors, and they all told me I was crazy. They told me there's nothing wrong with me, you're fine, you don't need to worry about it, you'll just go back to work, just eat healthy, just stop eating dairy. They would just tell me the dumbest things. And basically just try to kick me out of their office as fast as possible. That's how it felt. It felt like they were just like, I'm going to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you, but I'll make you think there's something wrong with you and give you this random medication or tell you to be on this random diet. That's how I felt. I felt like they thought I was crazy, and I felt crazy. But what was important during that time is that I believed me. In fact, there was a time where I thought, maybe I am crazy, and I tried to convince myself that, okay, maybe I am making all these symptoms up and it's all in my head. And I just told myself that, and then it did not work. I still felt all the symptoms. And that's when I realized it doesn't matter what the doctor thinks. It doesn't matter if they believe me or not. I believe me. And that's literally the only thing that matters. I believe me. I believe these symptoms are real. I know my symptoms. I feel them every day. You don't believe me, but I believe me. And I'm going to keep fighting until we figure out what's wrong with me and we find a treatment plan. And I got to the point, of course, where I still feel pain every day. I used to think that I'd be happy if I didn't feel pain. Not a thing. Still feel pain every day. But I have found ways to manage it. And it's because I found a diagnosis that I've been able to manage it better. So I would highly suggest, especially if you're like, no, I know I have POTS. I know I have EDS. I've talked to people who have it. It sounds like what I have. I've tested myself for it. I've treated myself for it. That's another thing I would suggest. I think we already talked about this, but try and treat yourself for it because there's a lot of natural things you can do. Just do anything natural you can, see if it helps, and then find a doctor that believes you. There's going to be a lot of doctors that aren't going to believe you. There's going to be a lot of doctors who just want to get you checked off their list of patients to see today, and they're never going to think about you again. But you're going to find that doctor. If you keep fighting and you keep looking, you'll find that doctor one day that believes in you, that wants to help you, and that's what I would be pushing yourself for, okay? So, my friend, I don't remember who you are. I hope you're watching this, but I believe you. You believe you, and that's all that matters. Keep fighting. Keep pushing until you find that diagnosis, and if you still can't find a doctor that helps you, help yourself. Find natural ways to help yourself. Talk to other people who have POTS and EDS, and like me, and all these people who are here in this live chat and who are in this community that we've created here. Talk to them, and we will believe you. I promise you. We've all been there. Like, especially with POTS, I feel like most people who have POTS have had a similar story where they felt like they were crazy because it's really hard to get a diagnosis of POTS and EDS and those things. So I'm so sorry you're going through this, my friend. I have been there. I know how it feels. Keep fighting. Believe in yourself, and that's all that matters. Okay. All right, you guys who have been here in the live, this is so fun. I was really worried this wouldn't work. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest, but we're here. Okay, so I'm going to, I don't know, some of these look like they are being cut off. Angela, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Antolhide Ann. A lot of your messages are, it says ... in the end, and so I don't know if those are you or those are getting cut off, but I will read as if it's just what you were saying. Okay, your work is a blessing. Thank you, you guys. This is why I'm here, is just to like help you guys. I was so depressed for so long and I felt so alone, and now I'm like, no, there's tons of us out here who feel the same thing and are going through the same thing, and we are in this together. So thank you. Okay, God bless you. My 9-year-old son and I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos, so EDS, and POTS, and have polycystic kidney disease and polycystic liver disease and polycystic ovaries, TTC digital. Okay. $10 at Walmart online. I don't know what that means. I think something might have got cut off. We did it backwards too. Primary care okie dokie docs aren't experienced or knowledge enough to consider it. Here in, okay, I'm guessing it's Oklahoma. Okay, the heat makes mine and my son's POTS worse. Yes, I feel you guys. I just actually filmed a video called my heat intolerance kit, and it's what I'm using this summer to try and keep myself cool, because not only does heat make my POTS worse, but I'm also pregnant, giantly pregnant during the hottest months of the year. I'm due in August, so kind of terrified for this summer. But I totally understand that. POTS or heat makes me so much worse. Tight stockings can help. Your videos have been such a blessing. Thanks. Yes, stockings. So my friends who are asking if they have POTS, I would first suggest trying to wear compression socks. That was the first thing I tried. In fact, before I even knew I had POTS, someone suggested, like, you should just try these compression socks. And I felt so much better. So, in my POTS treatment video, I have a link to my favorite socks. Oh goodness, sorry. And the Amazon links are affiliate, which just means that I get like a small percentage. Okay, I get like very tiny percentage of money. But the link to the Jobs website, that's my favorite. I get $0 for those, but those are the ones I suggest you get. Those are my favorite. Okay. Let's see. Okay, shutdown, lockdown, canceled all public schools, regular preventative doctor's cares were all canceled except for necessary appointments. Yes, that's been hard. I'm a young married adult with a 9-year-old daughter and decided to enroll our child in public ed online about a year before he was diagnosed with POTS and hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos. I always have a hard time saying that for some reason. EDS. I'm just going to call it. Our lives aren't changed much. I got polycystic ovaries, severe endo. Yeah, girlfriend, I got that too. And it's my lungs and even collapsed my right lung, and endos caused fibrosis on my right lung. Periods are tough. So for you, my friend, if you're having lung troubles, you are one of the people who needs to be careful with COVID. I don't have lung trouble, so I don't have to worry about it. I have to worry about it in the way it's affecting the world and everything, but not affecting me personally. You, my friend, are going to want to be very careful. Okay, I'm going to see what else you said. Sent me a lot of info here. I love it. Okay, so we take collagen gummies for my 9-year-old who has EDS, and for me, tablets for collagen, steroid eye drops, steroid inhalers, melatonin supplements that help with sleep cycle, only effective about 90 minutes, so take before bedtime, chewable strawberry flavored melatonin for my early elementary child, 10 milligrams tablet for me. Okay, polycystic ovaries cause an imbalance of hormones when pregnant and can prevent pregnancies from taking or attaching to the uterine endometrial lining. My husband and I have had 5 miscarriages. Yes. So people with PCOS often have recurrent miscarriages, which sucks because you already suffer from infertility. It's like hard to get pregnant, hard to stay pregnant. It's just the worst. I would suggest for anyone who is trying to get pregnant with PCOS, if you get pregnant, talk to your doctor immediately, get your progesterone checked and your HCG checked regularly. But if you get on a progesterone, I think that's a shot or a pill. I think I don't know. If you get on progesterone, it can help you to keep the baby because sometimes your body's low in progesterone, which is what causes your miscarriages, which is not fun. Okay, we use sodium-rich sports drinks or even salty snacks to help with POTS blood volume. Yes, salt and electrolytes. When you have POTS, the Biotine oral mint spray moistens the mouth and tongue. Keep near something. And we keep gum handy that has, I honestly don't know how to say this. I know what it is. XYLITOL. Sweetener, good for teeth. Yeah, I see it in all the stuff, but I don't know how to pronounce it. You guys, I'm not good with words, to be honest. Okay. If you suspect that you or your loved one has POTS, keep a log, share with primary care physician, and ask cardiologist or neurology referral once that specialist requests a tilt table test. Yes. Your videos are a blessing. Thanks. It was your videos that helped guide me to request for a breath test for SIBO, and my GI discovered that I have methane predominant SIBO. Yay! I'm so happy. Not that you have SIBO, because methane SIBO sucks, but I'm so happy that you have a diagnosis with that, because I've had a lot of people, actually, it's with POTS is usually the one I get, where people are like, I have all these symptoms, and I can't get a diagnosis, and I think it's POTS. Obviously, we had 3 questions today about that. So, my friend, I don't know if I was saying your name right, Untitled Ann, has a lot of good suggestions for you. I don't think there was a question in there. So I'm going to move to the next question, but thank you for all your information. Those of you, I think that there's some of it that got cut off on my side. So if you guys want more information from her, I'm sure you guys can read all of it. I don't know why mine is getting cut off. Okay, do you take supplements or vitamins? Raina says, this is Raina Cruz. Do you take supplements or vitamins? And if so, what has worked? Okay, so when I'm pregnant, no. Well, I take iron and I take, because I get anemic, and I take prenatal vitamins. When I'm not pregnant, okay, here's the thing. I am not one to like promote supplements. I typically don't like to talk a lot about supplements because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who try to make money off selling people supplements. And I don't love that, okay? And I know that some people are like, no, it really worked for me and it could really work for you. So, I don't know. I just have a hard time believing people when they try to sell me supplements. And I think because I publicly talk about my chronic illnesses, I get a lot of people trying to sell me supplements. So at first I tried a lot when I first was having problems because I was like, well, I'll try anything, right? So I tried a bunch of different things. I went to, holistic doctors and naturopaths, all those types of doctors. And they gave me a bunch of supplements and none of them really ever made that much of an effect on me. The only one I really remember that actually worked during that time was called glycine, and it helped with my PCOS, and it helped me not crave sugar. It was really cool. I had never had a supplement work like that before. That's the one that I was like, okay, this actually did something. So if you have like some kind of an insulin problem, glycine, I don't even know where to get it. I honestly don't know the brand. I don't really remember. I just remember it was called glycine, and it helped me not crave sugar. And so I think it was doing something with my blood sugar to help regulate that. Besides that, before I got pregnant, I was on a few supplements, and I can't remember if I put them in a video. I honestly don't remember what they're called. And the only reason I tried these is because actually my dad had sent me to get a full body scan, and that's where we found out that I had Hashimotos disease. My thyroid had all these spots on it. And I'd been getting negative tests for Hashimotos, even though like literally every doctor was like, you have Hashimotos, and they test me and it'd be negative. So anyways, finally found out that yes, I have Hashimotos disease. And so I tried some supplements for that. And at the same time, I started eating AIP. And so I felt significantly better after starting that diet and the supplements. But I'm having a hard time like talking about the supplements and like sharing what they were, because again, I don't know if they were the thing that helped or if it was the AIP paleo diet that helped or if it was both, right? So I feel like I didn't have like a control, right? I should have just started with the supplements, not changed my diet, done that for a month, see if that changed anything, and then started the diet, because doing everything at once is just hard for me to know if it worked or not. So I honestly don't even want to share them with you because I don't want you to have to go out and buy a bunch of supplements and have them not work for you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I have a hard time sharing the supplements I tried because I feel like supplements are so different for every person. And I feel like a lot of people try to sell you supplements when they don't have any real information about them. So if you guys sell supplements and you're offended by that, I'm really sorry. But I know that some people like live by them and they're like, yes, this works for me. It's amazing. It's a life changer. But for me, I wouldn't say I've ever found one that I would promote or tell you about, because I haven't found one that's just like, yes, everyone should take this, if that makes sense. So if I've taken something that's helped me or that may have helped me, I have mentioned it in a few videos, but I try really hard not to like promote supplements because they're so unregulated and it's just hard to know. So sorry, that's not a very good answer to your question, but I don't know a lot about supplements, and honestly, they kind of scare me, and I have a hard time not feeling like people are just trying to make money off me when they're trying to tell me about supplements. So I just have a hard time with trying supplements and sharing them with you guys because of that reason, if that makes sense. So sorry if that wasn't very helpful. Okay, you guys, wow. My husband asked me how long I'd be, and I was thinking like, oh, 20, 30 minutes. I talk forever. So this has been really fun, you guys. I think I got to all your questions. Anyone else send one? Okay. We do have tons of information about POTS and some other things over here in the live chat if you guys want to look through those. You guys are so amazing. I didn't think anyone would even show up. So thank you guys for coming live. This has been super fun. I plan on doing this every other week, but honestly, this is how many messages I got in a week. So I'm going to guess we'll probably have to do this every week. So either every other Wednesday or every Wednesday. We will decide. I'll decide next, maybe next Tuesday. I'll let you guys know on my Instagram if I'm going to do another live Q&A next Wednesday or if we'll go every other week. But bringing the questions, you guys, I just love answering your questions, and I hate typing. And I hate taking the time to type the answers to you, even though I want to help you so bad. So this is really the best solution for me because I can answer all your questions in detail because I love to talk and I want to tell you all the things. But typing takes so much time for me, and I don't know how to spell anything, so I always have to look up how to spell it if we're just being honest here. But anyway, you guys are amazing. I am so grateful you guys are here. If you're watching this live or in the future, leave me any more questions you have. You can leave them in this video comment. I'm pretty sure I know how to post this onto YouTube, so hopefully. Or you can send me a direct message and I just keep a list. And next week I will bring you the answers to more questions. Oh, one last question, Bob. We got one more question. Thanks, Sally. I'm glad you said that. When they test you for Hashimoto's, did your thyroid test come back normal? Do you have ANA tests come back normal? I can't remember if you've talked about that in your videos. Okay. So, yes, one more question. Because you want to know what? It was going to bug me if we ended at like 52 minutes when really we should end at an hour. So this is perfect. Thanks, Allie. Okay, so I got tested for Hashimoto's. Oh, I don't even know how many times. Like, I swear every time I went to a new doctor, their first guess was Hashimoto's disease. And I'd get tested for it. And my thyroid levels would often be a little off. Like, I hope I'm not like putting my hand in front of the microphone too much. Sorry. My thyroid levels would be like, I don't even remember, too high or too low or both. I don't even remember. But they wouldn't be like in the normal range very often. But my like ANA testing would always come back normal. And so they would just be like, oh, it's just normal to sometimes be off a little bit on your thyroid or whatever. And so they just kind of pushed it off, be like, well, you don't have Hashimoto's, and move on. And what I learned later was that you're only going to have a positive ANA test if you are having a flare-up at the time you are getting tested. So like I could go in the morning, get tested, it could be negative. 3 hours later, I could get a positive. And so it's really hard to get a positive for most people with Hashimoto's disease. And so mine never came back. It always came back normal. And so I just thought for a long time I didn't have Hashimoto's. And then I went and I got a full body scan. And I was so skeptical about this. I was like, this is one of those things people are trying to make money off of, like supplements, right? And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to do anything. So I went because my dad really wanted me to, because I'd had so many health issues, obviously. And he's like, I feel like you should just get this full body scan. And so he paid for it for me. And so I was like, sure, I guess if it's free. So I went and got this full body scan with my dad, and it was done by like a naturopath doctor. And they did it. It was through like a research center, basically, is how they were able to do it. And not charge, like, I think when they go to the doctor, it's like $10,000. So it can be real expensive, but with the research center, it's a lot cheaper. So we went and she saw all the things. She could tell I had POTS, which was really interesting. She looked at my veins and could see that they didn't constrict when she would push on them. That was super interesting. She could also see my PCOS, of course, and told me I would never have kids again, but there's a baby in there, so I don't know. And then she looked at my thyroid, and there were all these spots on it, and I could see them. And she showed me one side only had a couple, and the other side was like literally covered in white spots on the, it looked like an ultrasound kind of thing. It was covered in white spots. And so she was like, this is like 90% of the time Hashimoto's disease. Like there are some other things that can cause this, but usually it's Hashimoto's disease. So she basically asked me, like, have you ever like heard about Hashimoto's or been tested for it? And I'm like, yeah, I've been tested a million times. I've had tons of doctors tell me they think I have it, but the test keeps coming back negative. And so I just assumed I didn't have it. And she's like, and then she told me that she has met like tons of people who have the same thing happen where their test comes back negative, but it's because they weren't flaring up. And I actually, after I saw her, I was like, okay, I think I have Hashimoto's disease. And I actually ended up buying some of their supplements, trying them out, which were the ones that I tried that I don't know if they worked or not because I did it at the same time as AIP. But I called my doctor, like my primary care doctor, after I went there and basically told him what happened. And I'm like, I know you probably, because it was a research center, so they couldn't technically diagnose me with Hashimoto's. And so I talked to him about it, and I was like, I think I have Hashimoto's disease. You tested me for it. It came back negative, but I got this scan, and it looks like I have Hashimoto's. And so he talked to me about it, and he's like, yeah, actually, you can, unless you're flaring up, you're not going to get a positive. So he basically told me, like, we're going to treat you as if you have Hashimoto's disease, even though we technically can't like diagnose you right now until you get that ANA test coming back positive. Does that make sense? So I just treat myself as if I have Hashimoto's disease. So like I get my thyroid levels tested to see if I need to be on thyroid medication. And I've been able to, once I went on AIP, my thyroid levels, they went almost normal. So AIP, the AIP paleo diet, sorry if you don't know what I'm talking about, but the AIP paleo diet, totally like all of my levels were normal, which is why I stayed on it the first trimester of pregnancy, because I was worried that Hashimoto's disease had caused my miscarriages. And so I thought, okay, well, if I get my thyroid levels checked every couple weeks and I stay AIP, then I'll know if it's my thyroid that could cause a miscarriage or anything. So that's what I did. And yeah, it was crazy because I thought I'd call my doctor and he'd be like, no, that was some crazy lady who told you have Hashimoto's and you really don't. But he said the same thing. He's like, oh yeah, I've had many times where I've tested people multiple times and it was negative, negative, negative. And then finally we got a positive. So he said we could spend all your money and test you every week, or we could just treat you as if you have it and you'll get the same results, right? Like you don't technically need like to have the positive test, if that makes sense. So that's what we're going on. And then let's see, you asked me a follow-up question. Wow, mind blown. I didn't know that with ANA. Thanks for that info. Is that body scan in Utah? I visit family there often. When the world is normal, I would love the info on the facility. So I don't remember what it's called. You know what? I will see if I can find. I know I have the documents from when I went there. So I'll see what I can find. But what I know about this company is they travel around to different places and test different people in different places. But I think it's all in like Idaho, Utah area. But I will bring it to the next Q&A, or do you follow my Instagram, friend? I could pull it up on Instagram too. You know what? That's what I'll do. I'll go on Instagram. So go follow me on Instagram, Aimee_Esther. And I know exactly where the documents are because, I have a lot of medical papers and bills and stuff, and I keep all of them. So I know where it is. I will go look at what it's called. And all I know is that they move around a lot. And so like when I went, it was like in Logan, which is an hour or so away from my house. So we drove an hour to go there. But I know that like sometimes they're in Idaho and they go to like different random places to like test people. So anyways, yeah, I will totally let you know. Okay. Any other questions? We got 1 minute and 30 seconds. Then we can end right at an hour long. Just kidding. Okay. You guys are amazing. Thank you. I'm glad that I saw your last final question. Oh, there was one more. Please tell your husband thank you and that a young married sister in central Oklahoma and her family have been blessed by you, by his sharing you, his wife, the chronic illness world. Oh, thank you. You guys, my husband is the greatest. I got sick, if you guys followed my story, on our honeymoon. I was perfectly healthy. We went on our honeymoon. I got food poisoning, never got better. That's literally how it all started. And he's amazing. I can't believe he stayed with me for this long, even though I've literally been sick our entire marriage. So 3 cheers for Joshua. He's amazing. Maybe we'll do a Q&A with him sometime. I know I just did one with him, but maybe like I'll do a live Q&A with him. If you guys would be interested in that, that'd be really fun. We'll bring him on sometime. So you guys, thank you. I will be here possibly next week, but for sure 2 weeks from now, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Wednesdays. I really want this to be exactly an hour. We're 10 seconds away. If you are not in my chronic Aimee program, you should be in that because I teach you how to live with chronic illness and be happy. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. Love you guys. Bye.